Professional cycling spends a great deal of money looking for hidden motors, magnetic scanning tablets, mobile X-ray cabinets, backscatter devices, thousands of checks a season at the biggest races in the world, run by an organization with a dedicated department and a former federal investigator in charge of it. In all that time, at professional road level, it has caught nobody. Not one rider, not once. Now here is a hill climb in rural France, on a Sunday in August, with 112 amateurs riding up a hill for nothing but a result sheet. No scanner, no X-ray, no department. They caught somebody. The date was the 28th of August, 2022. The race was the 12th edition of the Col du Bénéz hill climb, near the village of Freycinet in the Ardèche, in southeastern France. The course is about 10 kilometers long at an average gradient of around 5%. It is a club event. The rider in question was 73 years old. He was the president of a local cycling club. He has never been named in the reporting of this case, and he will not be named here. He finished 16th, in 25 minutes and 31 seconds. The winner had gone up in a little over 22 minutes. He was roughly 3 minutes off the pace, in the middle of the field, in a small race that nobody outside the region was watching. And that is precisely what makes this case so interesting, because it is where the popular version of the story falls apart. The version that circulates online says he was caught because riders he passed heard a whirring noise coming from his rear wheel and reported him. It is a wonderful detail. It is also not in any of the reporting, and it did not happen. It is worth correcting rather than repeating, because the truth is more useful. What actually happened is that the organizers looked at his result. A man of 73, finishing 16th in a field of 112, riding up a 10-kilometer climb with an ease that did not match what they were looking at. Nothing about that is illegal. Nothing about it is even unusual, in isolation. Older riders are sometimes remarkably strong, and finishing mid-pack is not a red flag by any normal standard. But somebody looked at the finishing sheet, then looked at the rider, and decided the two did not fit together. So they inspected the bicycle, and inside the hub of the rear wheel, there was an electric motor. Consider the architecture of that for a moment, because it matters. This was not a seat tube unit of the commercially available kind, the sort found in the sport's one confirmed professional case. It was in the rear hub, which is a different place entirely, and it is a place the sport's primary scanning method is not principally designed to examine. Frame tubes are what the tablet is built for. A hub motor is also a fundamentally different object from the one most people picture. There is no cylinder dropped down a seat tube, no bevel gear turning the cranks, nothing threaded through the frame at all. The motor lives in the center of the rear wheel and turns the wheel directly. The frame stays completely empty. And a rear wheel, unlike a frame, is something a rider can carry in a bag, fit in under a minute at the side of a road, and take away again just as quickly. His response, when confronted, followed a familiar sequence. First he denied it, then he admitted it. And what he said afterwards is genuinely disarming, which is why it is worth quoting rather than paraphrasing. He said he had made a mistake, that he admitted it, but that he had done it knowingly. He said everyone knew about it, that several people had seen his bike before the start and told him it was fine, and that nobody had tried to stop him leaving. He explained that he had suffered a cardiac arrest the previous year and that it had affected his fitness. He said he was 73 years old and was trying to make the most of cycling while he still could. And then he offered the line that says, "More about the culture of this sport than any official statement ever has." He said he preferred mechanical doping to pharmaceutical doping. One part of that deserves a second look, because if it is true, it is the most damning sentence in the case, and it is entirely his own claim. He says several people saw the bicycle before the start, told him it was fine, and that nobody tried to stop him riding. There is no independent confirmation of that, and it is worth treating as an assertion by a man who had just been caught. But if it happened as he describes, then the motor was not really concealed at all at that race. It was tolerated, and a machine that people look at, recognize, and wave through is not a story about detection technology. It is a story about what a small community decides to care about. The consequence was that the organizers removed him from the results. No ban was reported, no fine. One outlet reported no formal sanction at all. A man was found with a motor in his wheel at a bike race, and the entire penalty was the deletion of a 16th place. Now widen the lens, because this is not an isolated curiosity. It is a pattern, and the pattern is the argument. In October of 2017, a 43-year-old French amateur was caught with a hidden motor at a third-category race in the Dordogne. He was not caught by a random scan. The French anti-doping agency had targeted him specifically because of a dramatic improvement in his results, and its representative arrived accompanied by gendarmes. A motor was found. He received a 5-year ban and a 5-year prohibition on holding a license for technological fraud. Caught by his results, again, not by a device pointed at a bicycle, but by somebody in an office noticing that a rider had got faster than a rider of that age and history ought to get, and deciding it was worth a visit. 3 months earlier, at an amateur race near Brescia in northern Italy, another rider was found with a concealed motor. The device that found it was a thermal scanner that had been lent to the organizers by a local businessman. Borrowed equipment in the hands of volunteers. Again, nothing to do with the official program. Set those against the one confirmed case in professional cycling at the Cyclocross World Championships in 2016, which produced a 6-year ban and a 20,000 Swiss franc fine. Even that case began with an official noticing cables hanging off a bicycle in a pit rack. Somebody looked at a bike and something was wrong with it. If you want the documented record on this subject rather than the rumor, subscribe to the Peloton Files. Here is the pattern, and it is uncomfortable in both directions. Every confirmed case of a hidden motor in cycling, without exception, began with a human being noticing something. A result that did not fit a rider. A dramatic improvement that drew an agency's attention. Wires that should not have been visible. Borrowed equipment pointed at a hunch. Not one of them began with the systematic scanning program finding something the humans had missed. That does not mean the scanning is worthless, and it would be lazy to conclude that it is. A testing program is not only a net, it is also a threat. Its deterrent value cannot be measured in catches, because there is no way to count the people who considered it and decided the risk was not worth taking. A program that prevents 10 frauds and catches none looks identical, from the outside, to a program that catches none because it cannot see anything. That is a genuine problem for anybody trying to judge it, and it cuts both ways. But it does suggest something about where attention actually pays. The most sophisticated detection system in the sport has never independently produced a case. A club official in the Ardèche, with no equipment at all, looking at a result sheet and thinking that does not add up, produced one on a Sunday afternoon.